on your side. This is WHAS 11 News.
This is a dangerous part of Mount Holly Road. Very.
Right now at 7, a deadly crash just hours ago. A Corvette slams into a utility pole. Neighbors say crashes like these have happened before, and the state refuses to help.
And the investigation continues into a deadly train crash that killed 2 people. I'm Julia Rosen. Coming up, I'll have details on that fatal crash.
Plus, another step closer on the path to perfection. UK suiting up today for the SEC championship game. Our Whitney Harding is in Nashville with a preview. Good Sunday morning, Kentuckiana. The time is 7 o'clock and it's 45 degrees. I'm Karma Dickerson. The mighty Ohio striking fear in many northern Kentucky residents this morning. Crews closing the floodgates in Newport, just outside of Cincinnati. In nearby Bellevue, a playground already underwater. And a similar story this morning in Covington. The floodgates are shut in Cincinnati as well for the first time since 2011. And flooding on the Ohio, of course, also an issue in Kentuckiana. Meteorologist Jared Heil joining us now. We've had high water in a lot of areas. The creeks, those you were saying, starting to go down a little bit?
Yeah, all of these smaller tributaries that feed those big rivers like the Ohio are starting to drop, which is the first sign that it will get better.
Okay.
And we do have dry weather on the way for the next several days, which will finally allow this flooding to ease in time. But you can see river flood warnings continue for the major streams and rivers across the entire viewing area, namely, of course, the Ohio. That crest coming on Tuesday. More details on the exact numbers and levels on the McAlpin gauges coming up a little later in the newscast. Let's talk some good news, though. We have some great weather on the way the next couple of days, and the warmest weather yet so far this year. And also good news, as we've been talking about, several dry days on the way. Your live picture, Morgan & Morgan HD camera at Kentucky One Health. You can see no big weather issues, actually clear skies and lots of stars. Early on this Sunday morning, that sun coming up in about an hour or a little less now, actually. Numbers for you, 30s mainly across Indiana and points toward the north and east. We're in the low 40s for the most part from the river and the metro and points off toward the south. 45 to 43 across the metro at this time. That's your range for you. Some high clouds earlier, now pushing off toward the south and east. Lots of stars and clear skies off toward the north and west. That's the weather heading our way. So again, a lot of sunshine for us as you're heading out on your Sunday. Here's that forecast in detail. We're starting out in the morning, mid-40s here in town. Mostly sunny skies at 9 a.m. Sunshine throughout at noon. We're at 58. And your high late today at 68 degrees. It gets even warmer, Karma, by tomorrow. We're talking 70s. How long that lasts on that 3-day forecast in about 5 minutes. For now, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Jared. And we go now to that breaking news where one woman is dead and another injured after a rollover crash. It happened in Fairdale, the 600 block of Mount Holly Road around 3 this morning. A yellow Corvette was driving on Mount Holly when, for some unknown reason, the car left the road and hit a utility pole. The female passenger in the car was pronounced dead on the scene. The male driver rushed to University Hospital. His condition unknown. A woman who lives right next door to where it happened says she heard the car rev its engine seconds before crashing.
Right at Cash Savers, we hear this car and it guns, gets about right in front of the house, and we hear it like lose control. It apparently goes and hits the side of the driveway right here, flips in the air, hits the telephone pole.
According to neighbors, this isn't the first time that same utility pole has been taken out by a car. Coming up at 7:30, why one woman says the state refuses to put a guardrail in that area. And developing this morning, LMPD and federal authorities continue to investigate a deadly train crash. It happened at Bardstown and Butyl Bank roads yesterday afternoon, and according to police, a driver ignored traffic signals, warning that a train was coming, and drove over the tracks anyway. WHAS 11's Julia Rose joins us now live with those details. And Julia, there is a disturbing video of this crash actually happening.
That's right, Karma. There were 2 people here on the scene just filming the trains going by, and they happened to catch the crash on their cell phone video. We have that video, and it is disturbing to watch. But right behind me here are the tracks where the driver that was carrying 4 passengers crossed over despite the sounds and warning signs coming from this railroad crossing here. And again, the video that we have is a little bit hard to watch. For 2 train spotters, what started as a typical Saturday afternoon ended as one of the most traumatic days of their lives.
I'm still shaken. I really am. It's the most devastating thing I've ever seen in my life or been through.
Logan Bennett and Anthony Coleman caught the crash while recording the train go by on their cell phones. They say the car ignored traffic signals, was then struck by the train, and then dragged for about half a mile down the tracks.
Crossing signals go off. They're ringing still, and train's blowing the horn. And right before he gets to the crossing, you just see the car pull up, and boom, this loud impacts. Hits right in the center of the car. You hear screeching, grass breaking, and it was the most devastating thing I've ever seen in my life.
The Buchel intersection doesn't have crossing arms to signal a train is coming, just lights and sound. Bennett and Coleman say it's a problem spot and adding crossing arms could help.
They just came right over the crossing like they did not see the train, or if they did, they thought they could beat it. And that is what I just don't understand, why people do this. I think Frankfort needs to take a look at this crossing. I think whoever the representative for this area should be contacted.
Police say the train was traveling at normal track speed and carrying 400,000 tons and 100 rail cars. 2 of the 4 passengers were killed on impact. The other 2 were taken to University Hospital, where they were listed in critical condition. And now the tracks are reopened, but they were shut down for more than 3 hours yesterday. And as you can see, there are still some remains of the cars here by the tracks. You're looking at part of the white car right there. There's also some caution tape still around. Now, again, the two people were killed on impact here, but the other 2 in the car were taken to a nearby hospital where they were listed as in critical condition last night. Live in Buchel, Julia Rose, WHAS 11 News.
Thank you, Julia. A community support group comes together to pray for a 4-year-old girl shot inside her own home. They gathered at Russell Park last night. That little girl clinging to life at Kosare Children's Hospital. Police are releasing very few details about what happened inside that home. Meanwhile, the family of that little girl is gaining continued support.
This family needs a lot of compassion, a lot of prayer, and they're going to need a lot of time to heal.
One detail police will share: they are not looking for any suspects outside of that girl's home. And Kentucky continues to cruise on their path to perfection. Yesterday, the Wildcats dismantled Auburn from the very beginning, leading by 18 points at halftime and coasting to a 91-67 win. Willie Cauley-Stein led the way with 18 points, and 4 other UK players joined him, scoring in double digits. Kentucky has owned Nashville this week, both on the court and, of course, in the stands. WHAS 11's Whitney Harden is in the Music City and caught up with some of the many members of Big Blue Nation.
Like many UK fans, Drew didn't really have a choice as to his favorite sports team. He was born with blue blood.
And tell me some more about Tyler. Is he your favorite player?
Yes.
Why is he your favorite player? Can you tell me?
Because he plays good defense.
Yeah?
Drew and his dad Steve have made basically a yearly tradition of going to UK tournament games.
Since he was 2.
Wow.
Yeah, since he was, well, actually probably 18 months or so. So went to the SEC tournament with the Tornado when he was there, when he was 3 years old.
But while the father-son tradition is strong for those 2, there are some fans starting new family memories here in Nashville. Judy came to Nashville from Birmingham, Alabama, simply to be a good grandma.
Wow.
My grandson goes to Kentucky, so this is my first entry into the Big Blue Nation.
David is a junior at UK, and Judy is treating him to a weekend of fun at the SEC Championships.
So far, it's a great time. I love coming to Nashville, but especially to see the Big Blue Nation. So I'm excited for her, though.
Noticing that. Nobody said the epitome of nonconformity is to be for any other team than Kentucky.
Judy does admit she has always been an Alabama fan, but today she's not hoping for a UK victory only to see Auburn lose. She is now firmly a part of Big Blue hysteria.
For me, this is a big deal, but they better win.
And that was Whitney Harding reporting from the SEC tournament in Nashville. You'll hear from Coach Cal and the players as Whitney previews this afternoon's championship game later in sports. And the time is 7:09 and 45 degrees. Good Sunday morning, Kentuckiana. The threat of Ebola in the United States could be on the rise this morning, why 10 Americans are being flown home and where they're being monitored for the deadly virus.
He himself was an orphan. And so therefore, I'm thinking that that's why he had such a big heart.
And we now know the name of the JCPS teacher and chess champion brutally killed in Jeffersontown, why his friends say his love for people may have cost him his life.
2 words we haven't said a lot so far this year, warm and dry. That's on our forecast. More details coming up.